This will be helpful for you, especially if you have a toddler or preschooler. Tantrums are a fact of life for parents. They're normal, they happen, and it doesn't matter what you do. There is no kid that ends up in a screaming fit at some point.
Those tantrums are so hard to deal with, but we're getting some help thanks to some tips from a parenting coach and a mom of two herself.
Yes, we've had this national parenting expert on our show before. Danielle Lindner, the founder of Parenting Takes Practice, is now here again to show us what we can do to help when our kids get overwhelmed, because tantrums, it's inevitable. They're going to happen, right, Danielle?
Oh, yes, they will happen. Good morning.
How are you? Danielle, I just want to ask a question. I don't have children myself, but I have seen other parents struggling with tantrums in the supermarket and in the stores. As an innocent bystander, should you do something, go in and try and help alleviate the situation, or just let them handle it on your own?
Absolutely do not help. Stay far, far away.
Okay, good.
Do not give any attention to this, right?
Do not give any attention to it. The parents are dying inside when this is happening, and so any help is only going to make it worse for them. But I see it happening all the time, and so I decided that I needed to create an actual course that parents would have at the ready, at their fingertips, called Tantrum Tamers, which is 7 modules that will lead you through all of the steps that you need so that when you get to that supermarket, hopefully you won't have that meltdown. And even if tantrums happen, through the course, you're going to understand why and how to avoid them and how to shut them down quickly, because I think that's one of the hardest things. You start to panic, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? I'm so embarrassed. I don't know how to handle it. But the course I created will give you all of the tips that you need to be prepared and avert those tantrums. So I'm really excited about it.
That's great. And this is so needed, I think, for parents, not only to understand that it's going to happen no matter what. They're, again, like I said, they're inevitable, but, to actually have some tools to troubleshoot these, to maybe avoid getting to that point, right? And we wanted to ask, what is your #1 tip when it comes to this toolbox of tips that you're offering?
I think the #1, well, there's probably two. Two is understand first that your child is not doing this to cause you misery.
Don't take it personally.
Their brains are on overload and they just don't know how to manage it. And 2, be prepared. So do not go to the grocery store or grandma's house with a starving kid. Do not go, where they're exhausted. Have snacks with you. Have things with you. And if you follow the tips in the course, you'll be ready. And they're simple, but it's just about being prepared, really. And once you're prepared, it's like, oh, thank God.
Right.
I can breathe.
You just mentioned don't go hungry. Don't make sure they have. Are tantrums the result of a lack of sleep or a lack of eating or something like that, or are they just psychologically going to happen?
Well, there are a lot of triggers, and that's something that I teach parents about too, to look for the triggers. And then the course has a lot of different charts and things that you can track. So do they happen when they're hungry? Do they happen when they're tired? Do they happen when they're just overwhelmed with, sensory things going on? There are a lot of triggers, and they're not very different from the triggers that make us often tantrums.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah. I know. I think
when we're hungry, when we're tired, when we're exhausted, when we're overstimulated, we're not the nicest either.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard for us to put that mindset and reframe when our children are acting that way. We get hangry, those things happen. But sometimes I think there's this pressure that, no, my child has to behave. You can't act like that. But developmentally, you're saying a tantrum is kind of a normal part of the development, right?
It really is. It really is. It's just their brain's on overload. They haven't learned, how to function in a boardroom yet, They haven't learned those skills. And so through this course, I'm helping parents in very small, easy, fast chunks learn how to teach their kids how to emotionally regulate, and giving them the tools as kids to do it as well. Which is nice, because then as they get older, they're going to use these skills and they'll use them through adulthood.
This is probably one of the best topics we've had on the show.
It's so interesting.
No, it's so interesting, and I applaud you for your work on this topic.
Thank you.
It's so great. And
I think we need to like stop shaming and blaming parents and just give them the help they need, because we've all been there. I mean, I've missed pajama day and I'm a parenting coach, you know?
and to let parents know that they're not alone, right, Danielle?
Exactly. You are not alone. And we've said this before, don't get Instagram to thinking that every parent is amazing and wonderful and perfect, because they are for the 5 minutes that they're taking the photo. And then we're not.
Exactly.
You're going to go in more in depth, right?
Oh, absolutely. We have Mommyhood Unscripted, the podcast. Danielle has been a guest on this before several times. Again, one of our top national parenting experts we love having on. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts.